Hi knitting friends, Shaina Bilow here. In this video I am going to demonstrate how to work a purl 1 through the back loop. So a purl 1 through the back loop can be used for many purposes. Sometimes you will see that instruction when you are making a twisted ribbing, such as this right here. You can see each of these stitches have a little twist to them. Other times, and often, I use a purl 1 through the back loop to close up a yarn over. So right here on my needle, in these two spots, I have yarn overs that I made on the knit side of the fabric, we'll call it, on the stockinette side of the fabric. And what I want to do is purl those through the back loop so that they will twist closed and create little increases like this. So I'm going to show you both. It's the same whether you're making a twisted rib or if you're closing an eyelet, but I just want to show you the difference between the two. Before I demonstrate, I would like to note that this purl 1 through the back loop is assuming that your stitches are sitting like this on your needle. For most knitters knitting in the US or with a Western style, you'll have this slant automatically. Sometimes people knit in a combination method or an Eastern style and your stitches slant this way. This is the way I'll be talking about today. So if your stitches don't look like that, this may seem a little strange to you. But here you can see on this yarn over just how closely it mimics that look, where the right leg of the stitch is in front of the needle, versus here the right leg of the stitch is behind the needle. All right, just side note. All right, so let's work our row. I'm going to purl up to my first yarn over, and then I'll show you how to work that through the back loop. So here we are, we're at the yarn over. What I'm going to do is keep my yarn in the front of the work, or move it to the front if you need to, and I'm going to swing this stitch open a little bit actually, so that my needle can come behind the work and enter from underneath that bar in the back, underneath that back of the stitch. So my needles are pointing up together essentially. So I have my yarn over. I'm going to insert this right hand needle from behind the work up the rear leg of the stitch. Then I'm going to wrap my yarn for purl and bring that purl down and back through the loop there. And that's purling 1 through the back loop. I'll show you again on the next yarn over. So typically when we purl, we're going through the front loop of the stitch. All right, so here we go. I'm going to insert my needle. And as I do this, I can see the little X it's creating here. That's what's closing the yarn over. So my needle comes from behind the work, up the stitch, wrap my yarn for purl, and then bring the needle with the new stitch down and back. And then here I'm coming up to the ribbing. So I'll demonstrate this with continental style as well, but here we go. I'm ready for a purl 1 through the back loop in the ribbing. So I come up the back of the stitch. My needle comes behind the work, and then from behind and underneath the stitch, my needle pops up. I wrap for purl, and I bring that needle back with the new stitch, and I'm finished there. So let me show you in continental style. Your yarn is in the front of the work. You come up the back leg of the stitch. So here's my stitch. I'm coming up the back leg, wrap for purl, and bring that new stitch out of the old stitch. So again, you come up, your yarn is in the front, you come up the back leg of the stitch, wrap your yarn for purl, come on out of the stitch, and discard. This is what the fabric will look like. I've got all these twisted stitches for my rib, and then right over here I had these eyelets that are now closed. So instead of creating a big hole for an increase, and here the aesthetic purpose of working through the back leg is to close the yarn over, the eyelet hole. Happy knitting!